I mean, you're using the Sanders campaign as an example, but many times the critics of the Sanders campaign felt that the separate issues that were universal don't really actually apply to them based off of their identity. And I just want to hear what you have to say about that. Then I have another question.
Well, look, uh, uh, I did some research on who has the most student loans. It's people of color. So free higher education is going to benefit people of color. Who gets the worst health care? People at the bottom of the income ladder. So a universal healthcare system that gets the insurance companies out of it is going to create a better healthcare system. Who's going to benefit? It's going to be people on the bottom. Uh, who's going to benefit the most for youth unemployment? Well, youth unemployment is highest amongst African Americans. Then comes Latinos, but there's 33% of white youth are also suffering from unemployment and underemployment. So I have trouble understanding how. I mean, runaway inequality means people on the bottom are being screwed. So if we can do something about runaway inequality, by definition, it helps people on the bottom who are disproportionately people of color. How about the prison population? It's still majority white, but if we do something about the prison population, we're going to help. We should cut the prison population at least by half, and that's going to help people of color. Anything we can do to end the fiscal crisis. I mean, look at our inner city infrastructure. If we could take money from Wall Street and rebuild the infrastructure, it would make an enormous difference to the people of cities that have suffered disinvestment for the last 40 years, who've been strip mined through privatization and having their companies basically wiped out. It's hard for me to understand how attacking runaway inequality doesn't disproportionately help people at the bottom. Now, I think what's happened is there are a lot of people who have accommodated themselves to neoliberalism. And they think that what they're concerned about is we need to have a better distribution of hedge fund people who are Black and women and Latino, et cetera. I'm sorry, I don't care about that. It may be true that that's an all-white group, but you know what? They're the people I'm fighting. They're the enemy. Whether they integrate or not is of no concern to people at the bottom of the income ladder. So I think we have to be careful. It's easy for neoliberals. It's easy for them to accommodate. Even Donald Trump could accommodate some of the demands coming around identity politics. He can appoint people who are people of color. He'll appoint, various right-wing conservative African Americans to be, heads of secretaries of different departments. He could do that. Big deal. What really matters is fighting runaway inequality. We can build a movement of Black and white, Latino, immigrant, and Native Americans. We can all come together, as started to happen in the Sanders campaign. But I had access, by the way, to polling data from the Sanders campaign, and people under 30, vast majorities of every color group was for Sanders. The older color groups were for Clinton. The younger ones, all for Sanders.
Now, let me make an aside to that. Sure. I mean, even though that polling data may, it is what it is. That's definitely true. We have to remember that, all of us are operating within a system, right? So even though you may feel that way now at someone who's under 30, they have 20 to 30 years to really work you with propaganda to kind of bring you away from that. So that may not necessarily, what I want to get away from is assuming that just because they agree with it and they want to push for it doesn't mean they can't be misdirected into things that are non-productive. Because just as you said that, there's polling data out showing that a large number of millennials are also favoring libertarianism. I'm going to definitely be talking about a little bit of that, but just to see that some people are falling for libertarianism as an answer, as opposed to really a broad retaking of the government or retooling of how we do policy, or a reshaping of the institutions that are governed by policy, and that's concerning.
Look, well said. That takes me into my last point, which is this: All that will happen. We will lose. Basically, you're describing a path for how we can lose. The way we win is to build a real organization. That organization mirrors what the populace did. I want to be able to go to Patterson or New Jersey or Pomona, California or Pensacola, Florida, and walk into a meeting of, I don't care, call it maybe call it our revolution. I don't care. I want to be able to walk in and join with my brothers and sisters to fight against runaway inequality on a state, local, and national level. I am certain that the American people are ready for this. I give this talk all over the country, and the only reason I do it is the response is overwhelming, not because I'm a charismatic speaker. I'm not. It's because the idea, the time has come. Look, Bernie Sanders is no charismatic person. He's been saying the same stuff for 40 years. The world changed. It got worse, and his message rang true. But it can't just be around candidates. We need our own organization. We need to come together. I'm not saying that we abandon our identities, but we add another layer. We can stay as environmentalists or identity activists or whatever. That's fine, but we need another level where we all come together and say, yes, we are building a movement. It doesn't erase all the problems. It's not going to eliminate racism, which is so deeply embedded in the country. It's not going to eliminate so many festering issues, but it gives us a chance to fight back and reclaim these institutions, just as you described. Otherwise, also as you just described, the propaganda will set in, people will drift towards libertarianism, or they'll become bought into the misunderstanding of what's going on, and we'll lose. We need our own movement organization. We had them in the 60s for a while. We can do it again. And the Sanders campaign proves to me at least, that the audience, imagine if half the money that Sanders got at $27, imagine if $13 went to fund a movement so that people didn't have to raise money from foundations. We raise it from our own people. Imagine how powerful. We'd be the largest, most powerful institution in the country, political institution. So it can be done. I think people are hungry to do it. It's forming the organization is over my pay grade, but I'm building the educational infrastructure. We're training trainers, book is spreading, and there are people. Every time I do one of these talks, I ask how many people here would like to be trained to be a runaway inequality trainer or reversing runaway inequality trainer, and about 95% of people raise their hands. I can't accommodate them all now, but we're moving towards that. So I'm working on the educational infrastructure. So I tell people, let me sort of close with this, if I could. I tell people there are 4 things we need to have a chance at reversing runaway inequality. One is we need a common analysis and a common agenda. And I think we're very close to that. I think what's in the book and what Sanders put forth, we can argue about this and that proposal, but we're not that far apart on some universal, broad, big-time proposals to reclaim the country. 1. 2, we need the educational infrastructure, and I think we know how to do that. And people are starting to pony up for funds to actually begin experimenting and trying to make that happen. We need the common organization, which I said is over my pay grade, but there are people talking about it, trying to make it happen. I think our revolution got off to a rocky start, but who knows? There has to be a lot of trial and error before that thing clicks in. But finally, the most important thing, the hardest thing, the most complicated thing is in our heads. This is the point that I think you just made perfectly, which is we've been kind of colonized by runaway inequality, by the neoliberal better business climate model. We think it's natural. We think this is the natural order of things and that it can't be changed. And if we think it can't be changed, we won't try to change it. We are stuck in the silos and we think it can't be changed. So breaking out of the silos to become silo busters, believing that we can make the change, having the attitudinal change in ourselves, that's the hardest thing. And that's the thing I think you're working on every time you do one of these shows. And thank you so much for doing that. That's what I'm trying to do. That's what we all have to try to do if we're going to have a chance of success.